putting together the compilation, it looks like you beat Warner Brothers to the punch by preparing all of this before you even announced your split. Is that accurate? Did you guys know that this was going to happen? Like, all right, we're going to split up, and the label's going to want the greatest hits, and here we go.
Well, the greatest hits was something, or the compilation, the retrospective, actually, which is a more accurate term for what it is. No, we knew that was coming. That's been on the burner for some time. As far as breaking up, we started talking about that on the 2008 tour, and it really began to crystallize, between the end of that and then the making of Collapse into now. So I think it was a really nice sort of coincidence, synergistic thing that the breakup of the band coincided with a retrospective that was already going to happen anyway.
When you were putting this together, did you consider any alternate takes or song or production bonuses? Are there any in there for us to find that? Because that happened back on the '80s compilation too, didn't it?
Yeah, we threw some curveballs in there, but this one is really, there are a couple of ways to look at it. I always think of, the Martian who lands on Earth after the nuclear war, and there's nothing left except this 2 CD set of R.E.M. songs, and we're going for that Martian market, and so he listens to it and goes, oh, okay, this was a pretty good band. Or, more realistically, for some 12-year-old kid who's just getting into music, and he's heard of this band R.E.M., but he wants to know what they're all about. And if you listen to this, it pretty much covers all the bases for us. So it was actually, not a really hard compilation to put together, and I think it represents us really well, especially the 3 new songs, because that's pretty much what R.E.M. sounds like in 2011.
As you were looking back, can you name any one single song that you think defines R.E.M.? I mean, here you're saying here's 2 discs that defines R.E.M. Is there that quintessential R.E.M. track?
That is a question that normally I would say no. We do too many kinds of music. Our songs are more diverse than you can really pin down. But I've sort of changed my mind on that, and I will throw out "Man on the Moon" as a song that pretty much captures what R.E.M. is about. It's incredible lyrics. It's musically brilliant, I think. It's got a lot of great harmony singing on it. It's a fun song, and yet it's emotionally powerful. I would put that up as a pretty good indicator.
I suddenly imagine that alien coming to Earth being a radio programmer who says, "I've got 30 seconds. Tell me one song."
I don't know how they do things on Mars, but it might be like that.
I wanted to ask you about one specific record, and I think it's been one of the more interesting records of your career, and that was number 13 with "Around the Sun." That's one that I think was probably not just kind of critically panned, but it seemed like that was the one time where the band said, oops. But you turned around, and then with when the live record that came out right after it, almost all of those songs was redeemed, and I was just kind of wondering if you had made up with that album.
Well, I don't mind that album. Here's the thing about it. There are great songs on that record, as you can tell by the live record that came after that. The songs themselves are great. I mean, there's some of them that I'd put up against anything else. But we just made a mistake in logistics. We thought it'd be okay to start that record and then take a break in the middle and record a couple of new songs for another the first greatest hits compilation, and then go on tour for months, and then try to come back and finish the record. And the fact is that's not the way you make records. You start the record, you work on it, and you finish it. And that's just a lesson that we learned. So what happened was, we when we left, we were very excited about that record, and then we got back from the tour and tried to go back in the studio and finish it, and we just really didn't have a focus. We didn't know where it was supposed to go or how to get it there. And we tried all these different things and ended up maybe trying too many things. And so at the end, we had a record that was just unfocused and unrealized, which was kind of sad because those songs deserved better. And, in fact, they got it on the live record.
Yeah, and they really have sounded great every time I've heard them, too. So thank you for the clearance on that. A band gets to a point in their life, as R.E.M. has, when they start influencing other bands, and you guys have been doing that now for a very long time, when you hear of a new band coming out saying, yeah, they sound like R.E.M., but it seems always around that time that, and maybe I'm wrong, you're the one who actually gets interviewed here, but that interviewers stop asking the whole question of, what are your current influences yourself? Because here you are influencing every other band. And I was curious about that, if there is something right now that's redefining your tastes, and maybe it's not even music, maybe it's a movie, a book, or a piece of art, but as you further yourself along here, what are you listening to or seeing that's really keeping you creative?
Wow. Oh, man, of course, that's when I get brain freeze, when I really want to tell about all the things I'm listening to. I'm excited about that new Lars von Trier movie, Melancholia. That looks exciting to me. I heard a song by a band called Real Estate that I have just downloaded their LP, and I haven't listened to it yet, but I'm excited about that because I like the song It's Real.
Oh, yeah. And a good video about dogs.
Oh, is it?
All about dogs.
I look forward to that. The Low Anthem are doing some really fun stuff. Wilco is certainly carrying the flag for one of the best American bands out there. The Jayhawks are back together. That makes me very excited. There are plenty of fun things out there and exciting, both old and new.
Yeah. You all, of course, this all ends amicably, but are you going to miss R.E.M.? Do you expect that you're going to miss R.E.M., or are you just ready? Is this it? You're ready to move on?
What I'll miss is performing on stage, because the thing that makes a band is the chemistry that occurs when a certain group of people make music together. I mean, you could find 5 people that are tremendous players, but if they don't have that chemistry, it just doesn't matter. But the fact is, with Peter and Michael and I, and with Peter and Bill and Michael and I, there was something that happened, and you could feel it, and it was very real, and certainly that aspect of it I'll miss. Everything else, we're all perfectly at peace about it. We walked away on our own terms. At the timing and the placing of it was all our idea, and so there, no regrets about that at all. But of course, I'll miss singing and playing with those guys.
Are you working on a solo record?
I'm not currently working on a solo record, but who knows what's going to happen. There's all kind of musical things floating around for next year, and I imagine at some point in my career I'll sit down and put some stuff together and put out the Mike Mills Experience featuring Mike Mills.
Do you think it's going to be? It's obviously, I guess, going to be different for you to transition into a frontman when that time gets here.
Well, that's certainly one of the things you have to think about. I'm not a frontman. I don't have I don't have that kind of charisma. I don't have that kind of desire, or whatever it is it takes to be a frontman. I don't think I have it. So that's why I was always perfectly happy, with being in a band and not being the frontman. And just because you put out a record doesn't mean you have to tour. You can make a record without ever leaving your house, but that just remains to be seen. Who knows? I may get this burst of ego and creativity and say, go out and be a frontman. Maybe I'll do that, but that remains to be seen.
Yeah. Well, I certainly do look forward to every single thing we're going to hear from you. I mean, obviously this is not the end of Mike Mills right here, but the
Certainly
beginning,
not.
Right? It's the beginning.
It is, it is the beginning of a whole new phase. I mean, everybody's very excited about it. Michael's going to, I think he likes his visual arts, and he'll work with sculpture and photography and things in the art world. And Peter will continue to play music. He's out with John Wesley Harding, I think, as we speak. And I've been speaking to a lot of musicians I love and respect about doing some work together. So I think 2012 is going to be a really fun year.
All right. Well, thank you for so much for taking the moment here and taking the time here.
You're welcome. Thank you, Kyle.
And we'll see you around.